In the year 2000, we decided, well, let's build an educational center in this building. Everything was fine and well until the Israel Antiquities Authority came in and said, fine, no problem, but we need to dig. And they dug 10 meters into the ground, and they actually uncovered the entire history of Jerusalem in one small spot.
It hadn't been touched in a while, but what is that history?
They began from the top layers, and they found etchings on the walls. It turns out that they were etchings from the underground freedom fighters of the Jewish underground fighters during the revolt against the British, who had left writings on the wall. We, of course, tracked down the people who did the writings, and that was a very, very emotional experience when they came back here to see them. We went down another layer. We found the Ottoman period, but under that we found the Crusader period. And what was exciting about that is that we found a system of baths. We sent out the materials to the archaeological labs. Turns out it was actually from the Crusader periods, and they were dyeing pools. And then we remembered that there were histories by Jewish travelers who had come to the Holy Land in the Middle Ages, and they talked about coming to see dyers at the foot of the Tower of David. So we knew that this had been actually articulated by history and by archaeology.
There was evidence here of what was in
that there had actually been here. We kept digging, and there beneath the Hasmonean ruins, which were the first Hasmonean ruins, right on top of that, we found the remains of Herod's palace.
This is the exciting news, especially for Christians.
This was the most exciting news for all of us, because this is what the archaeologists had actually been looking for. When they told us back in the very beginning they need to dig, that's what they were looking for, the foundations of Herod's palace, and that's what they found. And what that did, that actually brought to the front the fact that this is the area of Herod's palace 2,000 years ago.
Which makes it very significant to Christians that, he's a New Testament figure. Herod the Great, who built so many things here in the land, refurbished the temple, Herodian, the port of Caesarea, many other things. But he had a palace here, and his son was here, but he was out of town. Whenever he's out of town, he had Pilate house sitting for him. And so is there archaeological consensus, or a lot of archaeologists saying this, if it's Herod's palace, it's also the site where Jesus was tried or examined before Pilate?
Well, that's the very exciting thing about this.
Yes.
We're a museum. We present history. We don't decide what history is. But when we found this, we were contacted by historians, by theologians, and by archaeologists who all believe that Pontius Pilate was not in the Antonia fortress as a home during the time of Jesus. He may have gone there to overlook the Temple Mount, but this is where he and his wife, who's mentioned in the Gospels as well, this is where they stayed. So it became, I don't want to say it's obvious, but the consensus arose that after the Last Supper and after taking Jesus taking him down to be tried, this was the logical place. And we know that in the 4th century, when the Byzantines took Jerusalem, the Via Dolorosa ran the place of the Holy Supper through the Tower of David to Golgotha. So it was only in the Crusader period that it changed. Why it changed? Was it political? Was it commercial? I don't know, but it changed.
For centuries, the traditional way of SARS, the Via Dolorosa, starts at the Antonia Fortress, which is at the north end of the Temple Mount, all the way on the other side of the old city of Jerusalem. Here you're on the west side, near Jaffa Gate, Tower of David, David's citadel, that Herod had a palace, and the Gospels talk about Jesus being tried at the pavement, where people would stand in front of a large square, and up on a balcony would be Pilate with Jesus. Is there any evidence of that area?
What we know is, we believe that the palace was 140 meters from north to south. The fact that we're in a building does not necessarily mean that this was exactly where the building of the palace is. What we do know is that if these are the foundations, then we're standing on the floor of the area where Jesus was tried.
So the people would have been standing in this area somewhere on an
Exactly.
open square,
On this
looking
level.
up to a balcony where Jesus would have been standing.
Exactly.
And he said, and Pilate says, "Behold the man." For Christians,
Exactly.
that's significant. We hope more
Absolutely.
Christians come and visit the Tower of David when everything's open again and people can come and take pilgrimage to Israel.
Well, we're really looking forward to seeing everybody come back, and for everybody throughout the world with much health and much goodwill, and let's hope for a much, much better year coming up.
Thank you, Rose, and
And thank you.
Hag Pesach Sameach.
Toda rabba.